Good. Welcome everyone to today's video. It's NPL, it's week 4, and it's day number 2. I'm Toby, and I have the pleasure, once again, of doing these things for you. And for those of you guys watching on YouTube, um, yeah, welcome if you're new. If you're not, welcome back. And for those of you guys who are in here on Twitch, as normal as always, please do feel free to ask questions if you have any throughout the talk, and I'll do my best to try and answer them. And for those of you guys watching on YouTube, if you're wondering what program am I using, it's a program created by Other Productions. I'll put a link in the description down below, so you can go in on the homepage yourself, and you can write to the guys and see if you can get yourself a login to use there. So that should be, yeah, pretty simple. Nonetheless, let's get straight into game number 1 of yesterday or last night, I guess, for us games. Plane is in the sky. Very southern plane. Holy moly. It's, yeah, this is not a good plane path if you want to go north. If you want to go Severny, even Yasnaya is a far reach from here. That ain't good. That's for sure. So planes in the sky. Everyone's jumped out. Envy just killed all of Lazarus? What? Where did that happen? Oh, wait, that's down in. Okay, so they all landed because that's the issue, right? When you have planes that are this far south, everyone wants to go up north. And you see it right here. I mean, I think Envy just ran over their entire team. Yeah, Moody and Venerated pretty much just killed their entire team. That's the issue, right? I mean, there are only so many vehicle spawns because if you look at it from up here, you have vehicle spawns down here to go north. You have them here. You have them technically here, but nobody's going to contest Cloud9 and Pachinki. Over here, there are so few car spawns. I mean, from here all the way down to where Dre is, this entire path right here, I think has. I mean, there are no hot spawns in that area, and I think there's maybe 3 like occasional spawns. There are 3 car spawns in this entire path. So there you won't get any vehicles, and then you have to go all the way out to the west coast. Of course, you can take the beach down here, but there's so many teams dropping already that you don't want to contest them. So the only place for Envy and the Lazarus truly try and contest for vehicles is over here. And I guess you can say, fortunately for Envy, they come out on top. Circle, though, Pub's military, and we've talked about how we have no military teams. Now, White and Fate, they do go Novo. I guess they're pretty happy with that. But that's because, I mean, they've again realized that with the so southern plane, they couldn't go where they wanted to go. So why not just change up your drop place? I mean, it's pretty common to see. So nothing new under the sun there. Shoot to kill starts to get into the confrontation. You guys have been asking for a kill feed, and I've put it up. Let me know if it's taking up too much space. We can always remove it again because you can see it's kind of you can't really see what's going on over here. Actually, I'm gonna call it right now. It's taking up too much space. As funny as it is to have, as little will you be able to have it. I'm sorry. Maybe if we can have it be transparent at some point. But everyone's making their rotation on down. And it's actually kind of interesting because sometimes you see the teams that are looting their splits on Ferry Pier, that are sitting in Milta and Farm Split. They'll be trying to take control of bridges rather than move far in. And it's a little different, but sometimes you see it happening. Like they'll be crossing over and then they'll be sitting here, they'll be sitting here, something similar. But this time around SSG, they're going all the way down. And the only confrontations we really have is actually Ghost forced into a fight with VG over on the eastern side, trying to see if they can get them down. In the meantime, people coming from the north, and this is the issue, right? Because when you take boats, you don't want to sail under the bridge, you don't want to sail in anywhere here, pretty much. You barely even want to go here. You pretty much always want to go underneath. Happens same thing on both sides, unless if you're really quickly across, then you can go into the newly added bay area right here, and run up. But if you don't get to go there, you're pretty much forced to go all the way around underneath. And underneath, you only really have. I mean, if you're coming from the west, you're gonna go up where Shoot to Kill is right here. I've talked about this spot so many times. People never really went here, but I'm glad to see Shoot to Kill do it now. You go up there, you go up down here where Smurf is. That's probably the most common place, but also means that for teams that go down south fast, for SSG for example, they'll just be sitting down there and waiting for people to come up. Or for Envy, they have an area both over here and down here where they can crawl up. So they're kind of limited, especially with teams sitting and waiting for them. See it right there. Oxy taken down. 4 guys in a boat. They thought they were quick, but SSG were even faster. New circle goes east. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Mainly because a lot of teams have, first of all, yet to make it over here. Noble, they're still way up in Lebovka. And also because there are a lot of teams over here already. And when I say a lot, that's only 4. But still, Envy, they clearly made the right decision in going over here. No, the thing being that for teams that are coming from the west to east, if they're all going together, you don't really have a chance to set up shop and wait for people. But now that these guys have already got over here, they're already sitting here. I mean, nobody's gonna go down and contest Watch and Fate in the intersection. And as soon as the team sits up in what I like to call Rogue Dip, up here just south of the observatory, as soon as you see a team set up shop like up here, and you have a team maybe sitting in like by the little shack down here, then it's pretty much impossible to go west to east because you already have Ghost in the compound west of the intersection, and you already have Partook down here. So there aren't really any other access points to the west unless if you take your vehicle down the road and crash it straight into the sort of the really hilly, weird formation like rock formations down here. That's pretty much the only access point you're gonna have to the circle. So once we get that first team, depending on what Envy is gonna do, they'll probably want to run up. Remember, they came in with a boat, so they don't have a vehicle. Probably have to run all the way up. But if a team comes over and sets up shop here, for all these teams that are coming in from the west, because this is already taken, it's becoming so difficult to really make that transition into the circle. That's the issue. When you have so few entry points, it becomes extremely hard for other teams to really maneuver around. Now let's see, circle starts closing on in. Envy, they're making their way further up the hills, while Endemic on the north haven't really committed over yet. Smart rotation from Simplicity, actually. They saw Endemic, and they were like, you know what? Nope, not gonna happen. Let's not take the fight. Smoking Aces, they're swimming over. Makes sense. They came in as the last team, so they knew to a certain extent they were safe. Seems like Walter is all by himself. That's a little unfortunate. Why are there only 13 teams? Well, they all died. That's why. First team got eliminated pretty much as soon as they landed. And then you had teams that tried to sail around the bottom side. Oh, sorry for yawning. Tried to sail around the bottom side of the island, but they were all taken out because SSG split Ferry Pier, and they, instead of going in and finding a compound center, they just drove all the way down south, and they set themselves up like this in a 2-2 split, and pretty much kept everyone that tried to go over early out in the water. So the teams that went across early, they said, "Oh, we can go 4 guys in one boat. Let's just go over really quickly." They were caught off guard by SSG. And now you see it, everyone's in, right? So there's pretty much no entry point to the circle from Simplicity. Unless, of course, if Shoot to Kill allow them to drive around them, which they just did. So that's unfortunate. They legit just gave them a clear path around the bottom side. And now they have to now because now they push underneath them. And now if this circle goes anywhere further east, then they can like they just took Shoot to Kill's position by swooping underneath. And it's pretty much only because Shoot to Kill allowed it to happen. Fortunately, circle goes north, so they can yeah, I was gonna say they can move kind of not caringly, uncaringly, I guess it is. Um, for simplicity, they don't have to worry about them. That's what I'm trying to say. Cloud9 on the west side, they've been down here for a while. There's 2-2 split. I mean, they like to sit down here. Makes sense. They're coming over. They're going down, taking pharmacy or nursery, whatever you want to call it, and the hill right next to it. They have plenty of vision over military base. They can spot up towards observatory, and now they get a good spot in the circle. And you can 2-2 split this pretty easily because you have a good vision up here as well, so you can stay safe and you have a plateau that you can play from. And as long as you have teammates, I was gonna say as long as you have teammates over on the other side, you can kind of keep each other safe. But I think they saw Tempo Storm come in, so they're like, you know what? Nope, let's not do this. It's too greedy. Play S4, and that's smart thinking because Cloud9 likes to split out and take control. But here they say, you know what? We had the chance, but as you can see, other teams were coming in, so there's no reason to risk it. Smart call from whoever called it, and now they go back to the 2-2 split again. So keep it spread, take a lot of control. Kmite and Profi, they're being in a position where they can kind of hold people off from behind. Nerf and Lopes, they'll be able to scout further forward. That's how you want to 2-2 split things. Now, anyway, Simplicity forced into a fight. Oh no, that's where we just were before. Never mind, never mind, never mind. They'll be rotating up here. Ghost splitting out, taking control. I like to see it. It's not something you see so often from Ghosts. They like to just sit around on the edges, but they've been changing things up recently. Noble, well, there's all by himself, so he's just gonna be chilling. Shoot to kill if 2-2 split the area down here. They'll have to figure out how they want to play with that. And this is such a rough area to have an end game because you have the Everest, or not Everest, you have the observatory where White and Fate is sitting, and they have the clear vision on everything, and it's very, very hard, if not impossible, for anyone to really push up on them too, making it their position superior. Only issue, of course, being that with superior positions, normally also comes hard rotations out, and that's going to be the thing, right? Because unless if they have bikes where they can just like woo send it over the hill, which they don't because there are no bikes on land still, um, then they will have to run all the way down. And if they can't, like if there's a team that sits down on the eastern side of them and tries to wait, like waits for them to come down, there's not really another safe down unless if you like jump from cliff to cliff to cliff, in which you'll take a lot of damage doing it, and all these teams on the other side will be able to shoot at you while you're doing it. So it's really hard to really leave this area if you get pinned from under, like if you get what do you say, kept from underneath. And Wildcard, they're kind of moving up in a position now where they can do that. Simplicity still tries to come in from below. Endemic, smart rotations. There's a big rock formation up here where they can sit and lay low. You got Cloud9 moving in. Same thing on the other side. They have the ridge line down here, taking control. And this is what we were talking about yesterday as well. And I like to mention this on while I'm casting as well. The things teams do, the most important thing teams do, is to prioritize not only fights but areas of not effect, areas of um, what do you call it? Not focus, areas of danger. Danger. Thank you. Thank you. That was an easy word. Why couldn't I come up with that? Like, where's the danger most immediate? Where do we need to put our focus right now? And for Cloud9, they figure, good, so we sat up here, we looked this way, there was no one over there. They might even have seen a Demic come up, but there's no way a Demic is gonna run all the way underneath, at least not right now, because there's no reason for them to pressure down here if the next circle is gonna go north anyway. So they're gonna be chilling until the circle, and then if the circle goes north, then they can start pushing around. So for Cloud9 running over here, it's pretty open here actually. Running over, they know there's no reason for Ghost to go out the house. First of all, they have a good position. Second of all, if they do, White and Fate will shoot down. Envy will shoot down. And they're going to be completely exposed. So they'll be doing that. So Cloud9 can continue down around the southern side. And they hear the fight, obviously, between Shoot to Kill and Simplicity was here as well. And Tempo Storm, and they're like, yep, we can go down, we can take control. Because as soon as they have control of this area down here, they're going to have this entire side of the map to themselves. They'll have this entire, oh, that was a bad drawing. They'll have this entire area to play from. And then look at how well you set yourself up in a circle, right? I mean, this is a pretty good 30% of the circle, maybe 25. So you have a 25% chance of getting the next circle to some extent. Because you can just split it two here, and then you can take control of everything. Sure, you don't know if there's a guy proning up here, but because there's no one shooting down from, well, from either White's Fate or from Envy, it's a pretty clear sign that nobody's around there. So Cloud9, they push down, try to take control of Shoot to Kill. Makes perfect sense. Envy doing kind of the same thing, just uphill. They saw them try to clear their backside, they did, and now they can focus on what's inside. New circle goes somewhat center and keeps it. See right there, you see it right there. Envy. They sit up here, they wait for the circle, boom, now it pops. That's when they start pushing around. That's when Envy comes around. And that's also when Cloud9 has to reprioritize their area of danger, where the pressure points. And you see it right there, boom, immediately. Nerve and Lopes push back. Now they might be focusing in the wrong direction, though. Nope, they turn around, they take the fight, but Shoot to Kill say, you will third party. Ghost doing the exact same thing because Ghost realizes that White Sim Fate, I mean, they know for a fact that White Sim Fate is the team sitting up here, right? So they see that Envy and White Sim Fate starts fighting, And as soon as that happens, boom, Strimshy and McCoy pushes out because now they know, well, the guys that were looking down at us, our main threat, is now occupied elsewhere. That means now this is when we can go on the aggressive and try to see if we can do something. Also, there's only 20 players left, and there's still 4 guys alive, so odds are that you have a 4-man team with an advantage in the fight. Like, you'll have priority in that fight, right? Using League of Legends terms, priority fights. At least percentage. Wait, that should be a term in PUBG. Percentage fights, priority fights. Like a fight you go into where you have a pretty good chance of being in a better position. Huh. I'm gonna come up with a term that I'm gonna use from now on. That's a good word. Like, that's a good thing to have a word for, but I don't know what the word should be. Maybe you guys can come up with it. Let me know, either in Twitch chat or on YouTube, what the word should be for you going into a fight that you think you're gonna win. Like, that you think you have the better chance of winning. China number one. We'll see. We'll see in London in just about a month if China is indeed number one. That's gonna be interesting. I think they can be up there. China, we'll see, we'll see. But nonetheless, game continues here. Ghost pushes up to the wall, makes sense. But Hypok jumping down. I mean, this is just like a weird place up end game. Up on the cliffs, it's yeah, it's pretty yikes. It's just the end game on a cliffside, not a whole lot more to it really. Everyone's on their edges because you can't really go anywhere and be safe. K-Mine can kind of crawl in and not be seen from up above. 1v2, gets down one guy, repositions, gets down the second. This is where K-Mine strives. I mean, this is where he excels, right? Not that he's better when he's alone, but he's one of those guys that can pull it off when he's alone. So really good job. Um, Cloud9 for winning the game. NB getting second place. I mean, they came across early. They were fortunate. I mean, think about this. They could have been in the worst situation in the universe because they were. I mean, they were the team that in the very beginning, right when they landed, look at this. They fly out, and we talked about this because this was a horrible plane. It was so far south, right? Fortunately, they were circled with military. But Envy eliminated the entirety of Lazarus down here really early on. It could have gone both ways. Once you have those things, hey Buckley, man, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Once you have these situations down here, that is this early in the game, there's no talking about who's the better team, honestly. It's just who picks up a weapon, who's to a certain extent who's more lucky in those situations. So fortunate for Envy that they end out on top there, that's for sure. Now, that was game number 1 of the day. And let's send it over to Miramar, shall we? Let's send it over to Miramar. Boop, there you go. Planes in the sky. We'll do this. We'll do that. And then we'll go in here and write day 2, game 2. And yes, I know the internet connection is pretty bad, so deal with it. Yeah, I can see that I'm dropping frames like a crazy person. So, and that's nothing with the program, it's nothing with my computer. It's just a really unstable internet connection. So that's how it is. We're in Ukraine, we're having a good time, and I'm trying to do these streams for you. But it will lag sometimes. I'm sorry about that, but that's just how it is. I've been asking a lot of times. I mean, we even got upgraded from Wi-Fi to Ethernet, like put in a wall kind of connection, and it's still not very good. But it is as good as it gets. I mean, the guys here at the hotel really do their best to help us, and the Starlighter people do everything they can to help us. But sometimes you just gotta call an apple, and that didn't even make sense. But you know what I mean. Sometimes things just go how they go. Nonetheless, game number 2, we're live. Not live. It's yesterday, but you know what I mean. Southeastern Circle. 2 things to this one. A, if we're talking about rotations, that is. A, Los Leones is here. I'm just marking it for now. B, La Bandita is here. In case you guys couldn't read. C, this is a huge open field that you don't really want to find yourself in. So if you put up these three spots and you try to think, actually we can put it this way too. This is Minas, this is La Mentira, this is Las Leones. And we'll make it in a color so you guys can see it easier. There, there, there. Think about from an entry point, right? From an entry to the circle perspective, because water, of course, is not really something you want to do. So this here is, I mean, this part of the circle is a no-no. You can't really get into the circle from here unless if you, for whatever reason, feel like swimming. Um, so how many entry points do you really have? If you don't want to go through Los Leones, you ain't gonna go here. This is off. You don't want to drive through La Bandida. Sure, you can go around it, but I mean, other than that, this is off as well. And then the entire, like half of the circle down here is off. So what you have available when it comes to rotating into the circle, unless if you're already in there, is you will have this little stretch here. You'll maybe have this stretch here. Only issue with this area being that you have Picado right here, and you have the mountain ridge right here. Meaning that this area is actually also for any other team than Cloud9, this area is pretty much no-go as well. We'll make this area blue. If I could find the blue color, there you go. We'll make this area blue just because that's only Cloud9 that can go through here. And then you have this. So, I mean, look at this. You have 2 entry points to this circle. For what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think VG, they can just go. They probably will go somewhere in this and then underneath. 11, but 12 teams essentially. 12 teams going through only the green area. And then it's going to be up to the first team. Because if the first team is a team can be scared and still rotate early, but the scared teams will rarely ever go that far center. So if the first team sets up shop just a little out, like if the first team instead of going in here, goes down here, then that means that for the next team that comes in, if they're unfortunate and they spot out these guys, they will either have to try and drive underneath, or they will have to go out here. And at that time, if the first team that comes in from the north is greedy enough, they'll be down here. Then we'll have everything pressured down towards the bottom side of the map, and we already have Los Leones down there. That's going to be a cluster. And then if the next circle goes north, it's even worse because we have that huge open field up here, right? No one is going to play the north side of La Bandida, so you can just go through between Minas and La Bandida. Yeah, but considering that, I mean, for a team that wants to rotate early, nobody's going to go through Minas and La Bandida before they know that Ghost has moved. And Ghost is not a team that likes to rotate early. I mean, you see Ghost splitting La Bandida and Minas, right? Everybody knows that Ghost rarely ever rotate early. They have changed up things a bit. We talked about it in the last game as well, how since the addition of Shrimpsy, they have started to be less of an edge team. But even in circles where they have the center, they tend to wait anyway. So if you know, these guys would know because they've played in this lobby for a long time, that Ghost goes to Minas, I would I would not consider going through there if I wasn't 1000% sure that Ghost had already moved. But we'll see. We'll see. This is all assumptions. I didn't watch these games. It was too late for me last night. I didn't watch these games, so we'll see. We'll see how it unfolds. But just keep in mind that up here and down here would probably be, if not the only entry points, then the most used. I would assume. I mean, I can be wrong sometimes doing these things, but let's just draw it up like this and see how many teams actually go through the green lines. See, Ghost haven't even started moving yet. Cloud9 goes through the middle, makes sense. Around, 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 around. And because they come in so late, these three teams, Shoot to Kill, Oxy, and Simplicity, this is what I'm saying. Now they know, right? Now they know that Ghost must have gone. I mean, there's no chance in hell that they're still in Minas at this point. Around, around, around. So we talked about 12 teams. They can go through as well now. Unless areas they aren't even inside the circle yet. Less areas they wait for longer. It makes sense. They're a northern team. So we talked 12 teams. 10 out of those did what we said they would. Pretty. I mean, if that's a statistic, then I'm satisfied with the assumption. Now though, circle goes south, and that's what we were talking about, right? Because if the teams from north don't go far enough south, you see it right here. If we scroll back a little, E United they go out, they take center position, makes perfect sense. Envy they're split looting Los Leones with E United. They try to go for a similar spot, they don't. They start fighting. I don't know why they fight for this, but they get eliminated, I think, right? Oh, maybe they don't. They start fighting for these spots with United. I mean, Envy is a team that'll take a fight at any point in the game, especially with the addition of Moody. So that's it. Kind of makes sense, but also it's kind of scary to take fights that early. Ghost they try to push down, but that's the thing, right? Ghost is the first team from the north. We talked about how many teams there are up here, right? Compared to the south side, that has to rotate in. Ghost don't go that far center. Ghost sit up here. So for the teams that come in after them, they can't really get that far south. And now with the circle popping south, you see how many teams are still up here. Oxy, they're sitting here. Shoot to kill estate all the way up here. Noble, they're just coming into the circle now. And now when the circle goes that far south, all these teams have to figure, do we wait for Ghost or do we let them drive first? They all come down, but again, pressure is on the top of the circle because this is a huge pile of me don't want to go here. I'm not going to go here if I can avoid it. Circle pops, circle shrinks. Simplicity takes the western route, smart. Wow. Okay, so Simplicity got themselves a free circle. That's pretty good. But for everyone else, wow. Okay, so we're at this point now at which you kind of have to figure, do we really want to go in Los Leones or no? Because looking at the circle, I'm gonna say at least this is a no-no as far as entries go. And then look at how many teams have to come in from the bottom, right? Look at how many teams have to somehow maneuver down here and get in through all of this. And there's already teams. That's the issue. There are already teams lined up on the edge to take a fight with you. So for all these teams to somehow maneuver through this, because you can say, oh, they can just go to the west, it's so open. How? We're in circle 4, it starts doing more damage. Sure, you can try and drive underneath, but there's water, so you only really have this to rotate through. I mean, unless if you're a madman that takes a boat and sails underneath. But this is the only rotation path you have without being in the circle and without being in the blue. And endemic is kind of on it already, right? So you have to go all the way north if you want to do anything. You have to go all the way like this and then get in from over here if you want to do anything of the sort. Let me draw it in another color. All the way like this over if you want to get in from the other side. And that's a lot of blue to tank because by the time that you get out in the blue, the circle's already going to start closing again. It's a long rotation, and if you flip your vehicle, we see it all the time on Miramar, you might as well just consider yourself dead. So everyone's trying to slowly push in. Ghost is trying to go from the north. It goes up into Los Leones instead. They end up getting... What? Oh, I saw the clip yesterday where Drassel killed 3 of his teammates or something like that. Or 2 of his teammates, I guess, and himself. And then McCoy was a solo player. Yep, I saw that clip yesterday. That's true. Just before I went to bed, somebody posted a link. And then the circle shifts down into the caves. That's interesting. I've actually never seen an ending in competitive play in the caves before. This like little Y right here is the 2 entrance points to that underground cave. I've never seen a game end. You know how when you have shelter endings, one team is inside, one team is outside. I've never seen that happen in the cave down here before. So who knows? Maybe this happens here. But again, Los Leones, huge city, don't want to go through it. Everybody is forced to take those fights down south, and there's just not room for everyone. Look at how many teams there are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams on the southeastern side. And Simplicity, they're just like, oh my lord, thank you for going west early on. So everybody forced to fight around the same like 1 square kilometer pretty much. We're losing so many players really early on. It's insane. We're only 19 minutes into the game and we only have 36 people alive. Had this been like a regular Miramar game, we'd probably still be at 45 or something like that. Teams are just constantly fighting. In 2 minutes, we just lost another like 20 players. That's insane. Oh, the circle shifted away. Could have been funny with the ending on the cave though. So Endemics crosses over. Smart. They take the other side of the road. They have the bigger chance of getting it. They do get it, kind of, as well. Shoot to kill, trying to abuse or utilize the, sorry, hiccups, intersection up here to keep themselves in a good spot. Mm. And that's kind of it, right? That's the issue for Simplicity. I mean, Simplicity got this game completely off of their rotations. Pretty smart. Lucky, but smart. Then they got that second hard shift down towards them. Um, but they want to cross over, and they're just too late to it. I mean, Shoot to Kill and Endemic, they already lined themselves up, and they get the better of the position. Shoot to Kill, I must say. I mean, honestly, I must say, Shoot to Kill's impressed me over yesterday and today's games. Or, I guess, yeah, you know what I mean, Friday and Saturday's games. Shoot to Kill is done extremely well, and very impressive too. Very impressed with how they've been playing. At least, I mean, we're not seeing their point of view, obviously, so they could be missing shots all over the place. But still, I mean, they've gotten themselves into late games. I think in 3 out of the 4 games yesterday, and now they got a win here in this one. That's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. I don't remember exactly how they finished in the. Oh, they were the team that fought south of Communication Tower, so they probably got like 8th place or something like that when they fought Cloud9 in the military game in game 1. But still, I mean, pretty good job, must say. Pretty darn good job by Shoot to Kill. That was game number 2. Oops. Ah, now we saw the ending spot. Not good, not good. Game number 2 in the books. Game number 3 coming up. Kaboo! There we go, there we go, there we go. Yes, there we go. So, game number 3. Starting right here. Southern Plain. Nobody likes that. And the Easterns, I must say, I don't know if it's a patch thing or what it is, but in Group A, in EU contenders, we had this circle, I think, realistically, 80% of the games on Miramar. And that was 8 games. And I've seen it so many times in NA as well. And it's not even on the same patch, that's what doesn't make sense to me. But there are a lot of circles that kind of center up on La Bandita on Miramar these days. I mean, you don't see that many northern circles. It happens. But northeastern in particular, I do not remember last time I've seen a circle that went up in this area. Like, it's been very long ago. They will go, like, the circles, they will go up in this area, right here, a few times, and then they'll go over towards El Pozo and the field, kind of down here. They will go southwest a lot, and then they'll go send, like, I'm talking first circles, by the way, and then they'll go up here. They rarely ever go up towards Sierra Bronca and stuff like that. I know it is kind of outskirted, but still, rarely ever go up there. And this is the issue, right? Oh, sorry. This is the issue. La Bendita is a place you can't really sit. Los Leones is a place you can't really sit. So you're forced out into the open. I mean, let's zoom in and see. You have 1, 2, 3. That's not even a compound, really. 4, 5, 6. You have 6 compounds spread in the circle center. And we know how many teams want to go in the center early on, but if they're forced out in the open like this, they have the huge crater here, crater over here in La Pentita. It's just not places you really want to sit yourself in. So even though teams want to go center early, they kind of can't Because the teams that go before them, they say, well, we don't want to sit in the crater, so they're gonna take one step out. And then the next team says, well, we want to be in the position where the guys that didn't want to be in the crater are, but we can't. It's again the thing that if the first team that goes center doesn't go far enough center, it's really hard for the next teams that come to take that center because, well, they're holding them off, right? New circle pups. A good portion of it is Los Leones. Again, La Bandida as well. You have a crater here. I mean, look at these three circles I've just drawn. How many percent of the circle is that? Quite a few. So what you can do if you're coming from the north, I mean, honestly, if you're white Sem Fade, this would not be that bad of a rotation. This would not be that bad. They know nobody's going to be in Los Leones. And pushing underneath, they would have plenty of space. They know that nobody's going to be down here as well because the first circle would force the first team up, and there's no reason for them to go back out if they were already in the center. You know what I mean? So if you're a team that loots, like for Noble example, if they know there's a team that loots in Puerto Paraíso, they also know that with this circle, Noble would have gone center, right? Because they're pretty close to the center. They would have gone somewhere up at least. So when you see the next circle pop, you will know that it's not like Noble is going to be sitting down here waiting. They will already have made their way up somewhere close to the center, which means that this entire area should be clear to rotate into. These are the kind of thoughts that you have to, like, this is the way you have to process your thinking. This is the way you have to do your calculations if you're a in-game leader. It's not just, oh, this area of the map is nice. You have to figure, okay, so the team that loots there, how do they rotate? Good. We saw the previous circle. Like, because the thing is, people tend to just think ahead. People tend to just think, okay, where can the next circle go? How can we get here? How can we get there? And only play off of what they see, like how they visually scout. But there's so much you can do with thinking back on circles. Like if you know, for example, if you know that Noble is, I mean, this is not true on Noble because I don't know the Noble team that well. But if you know that Noble is a team that likes to rotate early if they're close to the circle, then use that information. If you know that Noble is sitting down here and you know, well, if they get the circle, they like to go center really early. Good info. That means that this entire area must be clear by now. Because there's no one else looting down here, so why the hell would there be another team in this area? If, I mean, you have E United, they loot in here. And you have Envy, right? This circle pops. Envy is gonna go center. They're so close anyway. E United, they won't drive through the city, so they could have gone around like this. But there's no way in hell E United is gonna go down and sit here in this sort of circle. First of all, they're looting the western side of the city, so if they were sitting anywhere, they'd be sitting down here. But that wouldn't make any sense either, because they're still close enough that they could push further center, you know? So if you're a team in White Sim Fate, for example, that spots this circle all the way underneath, they don't go there. But I mean, it's just the way of thinking. It can be smart to do things that way. I'm just trying to infiltrate your minds to make you think like a player, you know? I don't even know if I think like a player, but I like to feel like I do. Because sometimes when I say things that could be smart to do, they tend to do it. And then I'm like, yes. So look at this. I mean, now we have 62 people alive. Last game, 7 minutes from now, we had just 30. That's how insane that game was with how many people died. So again, south side of the circle, big fat yikes. It's Los Leones all over the place. Don't want to go down there. And north is La Pentida. That's actually the same thing. I mean, yikes with yikes on it, right? Not exactly the best type of circles. There's a lot of open. There are some compounds, but when you're not in a compound, you're more likely than not pretty far out in the open. The Sarias, they're actually pretty smart about it. They go through Los Leones because they know nobody likes to go there. Reverse psychology to its perfect extent, and then they get screwed over by the circle. Feels bad, man. Okay, so we can say right now that if smoking aces don't win this game, then they're bad. Of course, that's not true. But, I mean, if you know where this compound is on the map, then you also know that this right here, with the exception of the compound, everything here is a big open area. And sure, there are hay bales you can hide around. But if a team tries to push smoking aces, they will know like 300 meters before they're there. And then again, as I said before, unless if they're bad, they will have a chance to shoot at the vehicles or the people running towards them, and they will have a pretty good advantage at that. So, I mean, it's on them to win this game. Sure, the next circle can go away from the compound, but with them being the center, I don't know why, but it tends to happen that these circles, I mean, once the circles decide let's go down to this compound, they kind of commit to it and keep on going in that direction. But everyone trying to come out of Los Leones from the south, it's a hard push. It's a rough one too. Forced to fight, circles closing in already. Not exactly the easiest of scenarios for anyone down there. On the north, though, shoot to kill, they can just sit in like the La Bandita and use it as their foxhole and kind of just sit from there and shoot out towards people. Pretty smart. As I said, I don't know why it is, but the circles tend to center up. And like once it's committed to a place, it's just gonna continue going there. See right here, Pride tried to make the move around, not gonna happen. And that's the thing, right? That's the thing. You see it right here. We don't even need to rewind actually. Because this field is so open, look at the perimeter they have. Look at the distance that they have from where they are to where opponents are. I mean, it's extremely difficult for anyone to push this compound already. And when worst comes to worst, if you're at a point now which you want to say, okay, you know what, YOLO, let's push it. It's not going to be possible because A, you probably don't have vehicles anymore at this point in the game. B, if you do and you try to drive in, all these other teams, including Smoking Aces, will start shooting at you, and you're more likely dead before you reach the compound. So, Smoking Aces, they're in the perfect position to just stay in here, do what they want, play some poker, chill, see the kill feed go nuts, or they can do what other teams would like to do, sit in the safety of the compound, but constantly stay aware of what's going on around them and try and shoot at people, trying to finish people off that are fighting each other. For example, if we say the Tempo Storm shoot to kill start fighting and Uncivil gets knocked down here by one of them, they can just be like, boop, thank you. Same thing going on all sides. So they just chill, they don't really have to do anything, unless, of course, if a team full on YOLO pushes into the compound, which no one seems to be doing. So, but just keep people away, force them to run into each other, and then try third party. That's like the best. Oh, sorry, I'm not. I don't even know I'm yawning so much. I've been sleeping quite a bit tonight. Maybe I slept too much. That could be the thing. Teams are coming closer to the compound. Smoking Aces, there's still four guys up, and that's the thing, right? That's the thing. Smoking Aces, not only are they still four guys up, but since they haven't been fighting, they probably have both their Kevlars, their helmets, and all their utilities still. While everyone else has been running around in the open for the past 10 minutes, and they're probably low on meds, low on durability, like armor and stuff, and low on utility. So, in pretty much any situation, smoking aces would have the priority in the fight. That's I mean, I'm gonna use that term from now on. Priority lanes, priority in fights. It kinda makes sense, kinda. Hedra tries to make their way around. Multiple teams try to work their way on in. Not gonna happen. Smoking Ace is playing it smart. They're splitting out now, taking control from behind the compound, not letting anyone get in. Again, shoot to kill. Late game. They won last game. They got a decent placement in the previous one on the Rankle, and now they are in a four-man top position once again. Very impressive. 4v4. They got a chance to go back to back. And they don't. Or do they? No. Define Legit won the game. Uncivil taken down, but close. 1v1. Shoot to kill. I mean, good comeback. Not just comeback, but good playing overall. That is impressive. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. But that was game number 3. Quick math. Game number 4. One more game to go. And again, questions? Ask. That's all I can That's all I can tell you. That's how we do it here. You have to ask in order to have questions answered. Flying, flying, and flying some more. Up north we go. Western Plain. Western Circle. That's actually kind of funny because that's been the thing on Erangel today, right? So you had a crazy South Plain, it became military. Then you had a Western Plain, now it became West Side Circle. And as great and fun and all that as that may be, for the teams that like to loot East, they're kind of screwed. For two reasons. A being that the time it would take to go out East, loot, and go back in. The circle will probably be closing in while they're still looting, and they'll be coming in late to the circle no matter what. But alternatively, they would just say, well, you know what, we won't go all the way out there. We'll just kind of loot on the way, and then we'll go back in when we feel like. For example, for a team that normally loot Lipovka, they could just say, we'll just go down to shelter and split four guys here, because we won't get the same loot that we would have we had all the time in the world to do it, but it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be good enough for that first fight, you know? But there's just not a whole lot on the east side to take. Especially not up north. I mean, for Envy, they probably have to go down to Yasnaya. And they can. I mean, they already have vehicles, so it's not a big problem. But for other teams, I mean, there's not. If you look at this area, if you take it in bars, kind of like this, we draw it up like that, and say, I like to go to Puffka, I'll settle for this. That's all right. But the team is already here, right? So then you have to settle one step further. Here you have Yasnaya, which is already taken. And then you have Shelter. Shelter you can take, that's alright. But if you go one step further left, there's not a whole lot there. And the teams that like to land around here normally, they've already taken those spots away from you. Like you won't say, I could just go back out east where I normally go, but I'll go down and contest Simplicity instead. I mean, that wouldn't make any sense. You'd only want to say, I'll settle for whatever other thing if it's a place where you know nobody else is going. At least normally. I mean, I rarely ever see teams drop on top of each other if they have a chance not to. Normally, teams only do it if they're forced to by or for whatever the reason. I mean, for example, we saw earlier with Laserius and Envy how they landed down here and fought each other. But that wasn't because they wanted to fight. It was just because there was nowhere else to get vehicles and they had to go there. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. There were no alternatives and they had to take the fight. If they weren't going to fight there, Envy would just have fought another team somewhere else for the same exact purpose. And now they jumped out early. They won the fight and they got themselves up to a good position as well in that game, second place. So that's pretty much it. Rotations here, not a whole lot to talk about. South, north, you have like the highways here, the highways down here, highways up here. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, plenty of rotations. You could see a team set up shop. You actually have seen that before where you have two guys and two guys splitting, or two guys here, two guys splitting, something like that. Or you can even do a 1-1-2 split, depending on what's like how exactly on the western side the circle is positioned. But interesting that nobody is trying to set up a bit of a roadblock here. That's what you've seen sometimes. Same thing going south. If you have a team sitting either down here on the dip or here, maybe all the way down by the shack or somewhere close. I mean, these 3 points are probably the most abused points on the map, like areas to just sit and hold off western rotations. I would say. Whoops. No. I'll draw them up again real quickly. These 3 points are probably the most abused areas to sit and camp rotations. So if you're ever going to rotate from east to west, keep that in mind. And then you say, but Toby, if we can't go through those three places, what do we do then? And then I say, you can't go through those three places. But what you want to do is when you are in the place that you are prior to there, which would be either one of the two Pachinki hills, it could be the forest down here, it could be the hillside up here, it could be the rolls down here or the plateaus down here, it could be out in the fields. You stop there and then you see if there is anyone in those spots. Because if there are, then you sit around and you wait until they move, or you try to maneuver around them. And if there aren't, then you're free to go. It's pretty simple. That's why you do scouting. So keep that in mind. three places where teams tend to lurk and put up ambushes. Right there. Now you know. Write it down. Take a screenshot. Do whatever you want. So if you're Eastern team rotating west, good to keep an eye. Like always when you're driving, stop up, just look over there. Is there any team sitting there waiting to kill us when we start rotating? Especially if you're forced to rotate in buggies or anything else. Because, I mean, if you're down south, this is a huge open field. You do not want to spin out on a buggy down there, especially not if it's not the late game and you have to rotate even further away. Because then you have to run and, well, good luck with that. Circle goes, oh, wait, we have the double speed. Circle goes north. And, I don't know. I mean, we don't get a lot of these endings, to be honest. At least not in the EU side of things. I kind of like them. There's so much diversity in this terrain because you have normally when you come into Circle 3, 4-ish, you can kind of say, is it going to be a city ending? Is it going to be a field ending? Is it going to be a terrain ending? Like some of the more unique areas of the map, like quarry and stuff like that. What kind of terrain are we finishing in? But if you go to the west side, you have Everest. You have fields, you have a city, and you have swamps, which is a very unique area as well. Swamps. You have these four places very, very close to each other that are very different and like very diverse in the type of terrain, which means that you never really know what you're in for. I mean, if you know it's gonna be a open ending, you're gonna stick to those vehicles, right? If you know it's gonna be a city ending, you might just want to crash the city a little earlier to get yourself into a better spot, leave those vehicles and all that stuff. But here, you kind of have to expect it to go and do anything. Even with this circle, it can go Everest, it can go open, it can go city, it can go swamps, it can go field. I mean, there's so many different types of terrain. It's kind of like a layer cake, you know, not layer cake, but what are those? You know, like multiple cakes in one, like pieces of pie. It's like a Picasso piece of pie. He pretty much destroyed the pie. It's not the prettiest pie ever, but there's so many. I mean, one type, two types, three types, four types of terrain within that same circle that you have to play completely different from one another. If you go up Everest, not gonna bring cars. If you go down here, gonna bring cars, but you won't have any compounds. If you go up north, plenty of compounds, not have to go with cars. If you go out here, I mean, that's what I'm saying, right? You know what I mean? So, as an in-game leader, it forces you to play things very differently. Hey, Cameron, thank you so much for the subscription, man. Much appreciated. And thank you so much. Yes, it was. It wasn't a rough couple of days. It was a rough day. It was a rough day for Group B. But now we get to cast all the Rankle. I guess that's pretty fun. Actually, honestly, I kind of like casting Miramar. And I think I'm one of the few casters that like casting Miramar. Just because it forces you to play things completely different. And it's so fun to see how one team can be really aggressive on one map, and then when they come over on the other map, they play it completely differently. It's a lot of fun to watch. So Everest, obviously, a big factor in the rotations in. As you said, you can't really bring your vehicles into Everest. And look at how many teams have decided to sit around here, right? That's the issue, because if the circle goes away from it, it doesn't. Okay, so that's not really the biggest issue. King of the Hill is what we're calling it up here. But for all these other teams, they have to figure how we're going to get up, because you can set up on the foot of the mountains down here. You can set up shop, but you're going to be fighting all the other teams that are on the foot of the mountain, as well as the teams on top will be shooting down towards you. So you're going to be taking fire. It's like, imagine if you're in the medieval times, right? You're one of the knights of the British Empire or Roman Empire, and you're storming a castle. Storming a castle with the ramps and with the arrows and all that good stuff. And then as you start fighting the guys that are up on the wall on the castle, all of a sudden your entire team behind you starts shooting at you as well. Not exactly optional. Optimal is the word. Not exactly optimal. So that's a position where you say, well, it's good to be up by the hill because then you can't get shot at that easy from up top. But then you're that much more exposed to the other side, and that's where you really, I mean, that's where you really have to start prioritizing your fights quite a bit. So we'll see how teams decide to move. I would assume to see a lot of teams force fights with each other out here before they start moving. because now teams have already gone in and taken positions, and you can see it right here. Shoot to kill. They want to start fighting. Oxy, they want to start fighting. They never want to leave. All these teams fighting each other before they get all the way in because they know if we just send it in, we're dead anyway. So we might as well try and stay on the edge and see if we can do something. Circle goes south now. Tempo Storm. Wow. Holy moly. That's a good centered compound. It can be hard to play from this compound because you can sit up towards the mountain and spot down. And then you don't have that uphill advantage anymore. Um, but we'll see. We'll see how it comes into play. A lot of people up on the mountain that has to find their way through. It's very tricky. It's annoying as hell, especially having to run down it because people can be sitting underneath and holding the angle. They will see the top of your head before you spot them. That's the issue. If you have a guy sitting downhill, we can put it up. I'll draw it with my insane drawing skills. We'll draw it right here. So if you have a guy, 1 second. If you have a guy, he has a weapon. That's his gun, by the way. Pew, 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 pew. He's not very good at aiming, so he's just shooting here. But if you have a guy up the hillside, and you have a guy down the hill, that down the hillside, he will spot. If you do like a line, by the time that this guy peeks over the hill, like if he's proning down here and looking up, he will spot the top of this guy's head before that guy will have eyes on him. And also this guy will be spending quite a few bullets. Like all the bullets that this guy will shoot will go. Let's draw him up properly. If this guy is standing down here, right? While this guy can shoot up on this guy's head, he can shoot his face. This guy's bullets will most likely bounce off the hillside. You know what I'm trying to say, guys? I don't have to draw it up. He can see his head and shoot at it, but the other guy might not be able to hit him because he'll be hitting the cliffs instead. That's what I'm trying to say. Either way, it's hard to push downhill. That's all I wanted to say with that. So Whiteham Fade forced to push out. There's like a long hillside down towards Gatka here. So of course their main threat right now, area of damage for them is gonna be area of focus is gonna be shoot to kill. Tempo Storm, they push out from the compound. I like to see it. They got 2 knocks and then they full on commit to it. Get the rest, push back in. Smart play. Very few teams would dare to do this. Many teams would say we have the compound, we can't risk this. But as soon as they got the knock on the first 2 guys, boom, they sent it out to flush them, got back in, and retook the compound. Really, really smart positioning and smart playing from from Tempo Storm there. SSG, they're driving around trying to figure out what to do. And once again, Tempo Storm push out to clean up and go back in. Very, very few teams dare do these sort of things. But Tempo Storm does it really, really well. They have great faith in each other, and they play pretty smart because of it. Cloud9, chance to win their second game on the day. Tempo Storm, they have the compound though. They have the advantage, and they get the win. So, I mean, they had the hard cover. Cloud9 had to push in the open. Not a whole lot more to it than that, really. But nonetheless, interesting game, and so, I hope you enjoy my amazing drawing skills. If you do, I mean, if you're only here for my insane drawing skills, you better leave a like and subscribe and comment and share. And other what else can you do on YouTube? I don't know. I'm not that good at YouTube. But all the things that you can do, you have to do if you liked my drawing. That's how it is. If you at any point thought that's a pretty cool drawing, I got you, then you have to do it now. Unfortunately for you. That's just how it is. And if not, then you don't have to. But nonetheless, thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'll see you guys next time.